Let me take a minute here. I've got to clean my glasses. I think I mentioned this. I'm pretty sure I scratched one of my eyes because I've been in a lot of pain, which has it's gotten better now. But I'm not risking anything, and I'm opting to wear glasses before anything. But we've got Night Team 4 again. I think this is like the third Friday I've been doing this. It's a really neat game. It's been very hard not to just jump in and do some more while, in between streams, but I'd rather not reset all of my progress, and obviously it's sort of fun to watch these things develop as they go by. I believe there are still Twitch drops going on, so I suspect I'm not going to get to the limit. So there's special benefits that the streamer gets for people watching, and if you hit a certain threshold, you get drops as a streamer yourself. I'm gonna probably, it's a little high for me. But who knows? Maybe you good people will come in and change around. If you own this game, it's twitch.nightteam4.com. You do need to sort of link your account to Twitch to be able to get those drops. I believe the way it works is that there is a random draw every minute. And there is one for every 10 people. So if there are 40 people watching, there are four draws every minute. It does not mean that there is something given every minute. It means that there is the potential for a draw. And if it happens, the draw happens to decide whether or not something gets distributed. My own experience of this has been that it's pretty generous with the goodies. I haven't actually seen what the goodies do yet. This is the first I'm playing the Goliath 7 update. But we're all gonna get to play around with it. So let me get in. Also, as some of you may see on the screen, there's if you don't own this game, it's currently 25% off from its regular price as part of the Steam sale. So if you were on the fence, I know there were a lot of people who were really interested in the game and they said they were going to wait for a sale. Well, it's come a lot sooner than you were probably expecting. So first thing I'm going to do here, I want to take a quick second and see if there's anything in the Academy about this new Goliath 7. I guess not. Yes. I bought myself a little something during the Steam sale. Alright, I have no idea how any of this new stuff works, but that's fine because I'll just, I'll probably just check it out on the website later, but, oh, Sean Bean. They give drops for watching Pro Rocket League, and all it does is fill Twitch chat with people complaining when they don't get anything. Yeah, so the way I've actually learned. Hello, Punky McMonkey. Yes, so you probably got cosmetics. I believe there will be actual items that you get, and I believe. Let me just take a quick minute here. I'm actually going to go to my Twitch page. I just want to make sure everything's up. Twitch.tv/systemchalk. So in addition to the, yes, drops are enabled. Okay. So, it's not just the cosmetics that you're going to be getting. I believe over time you will be getting, items which you can plug into the Goliath 7, which I'm not 100% sure how it works. But I got a bunch of stuff, on the day that they were adding it in. So, it'll be fun. Again, I don't see anything new inside these windows here, so I still need to figure out exactly how this new mechanic works, but I'm okay waiting for it because I still need to learn the base game. But my experience of it has been that in the bottom right-hand corner, it starts pinging, so-and-so got an item. Now, I'm a little worried that if I don't hit like the streamer gets something tier, that it doesn't distribute to anyone, but I'm pretty sure you guys get stuff, and then it's just a bonus for the streamer if they hit a certain threshold. So one way or the other, we're here for the game, not for the loot. Although the loot will be nice. So my understanding is you should see something on the screen. To Sean Bean's point, it will only show the first one in that list. It's not going to show everyone who got something. So if we had 40 people inside here, there would be 4 people who got an item, but it would only list the first one. So hopefully that does not make people too salty about not picking things up. But anyways, I'm done filibustering. I think I'm gonna do a bounty, and then I'll move on to. I'm a little curious. Yeah, G7 2019 Chapter 2. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a bounty first, just to sort of refresh myself, and then I'm gonna do. We'll go back to story mode to finish the mission that we started. Okay, so CSIS and DGSE for no consequence. Let's start with the DGSE. The DGSE requires the URL of a private military contractor supplier in Yemen. SpartanTitans.com it is.
Information gathering module initiated. Information gathering module.
So for those of you unfamiliar with the game, the basic idea here right now is that I'm looking for ways that I can infiltrate this this website, Spartan Titans. So we'll start with fingerprinting www.spartantitans.com. We're going to do that for each of the domains, and if it doesn't turn out, we're going to have to find another way to enter into their systems. Ultimately, we're looking for the URL of their supplier, but the fastest way to go inside would be to find if one of these sources is using a sort of a weak technology, something that's vulnerable. And if it doesn't, we'll just have to find another way in. There's other ways of doing that, which I'll explain at the time. I always feel a little bad because I think this game caught fire. Oh, here we go. So they've got the Akamai. I actually don't know how to pronounce that, but so we're going to go to the exploit database. So the idea here is that there's technology which we can access through port 80, and we're going to be able to use the fact that they haven't patched their here we go. The management interface in the Akamai client allows remote attackers to bypass authentication through TCP/IP via an HTTP request that contains no referrer header, or 2, a spoofed referrer header that matches an approved domain, which allows remote attackers to conduct cross-site request forgery, CSRF attacks, and force the client to download and execute arbitrary files. Preferred delivery method, TCP/IP, exploit to use content spoofing. Now, one of the things that I find so interesting about this game is all of its real-world references. The thing that's not 100% clear to me here, a lot of the things that are going on inside this game, so we're selecting TCP/IP because of this exploit. We're going to be using content spoofing. And we will use the After Midnight rootkit. That's just because the game basically tells me to do this at the beginning. The one thing that I'm not 100% sure how this maps to the real world is that Fox Acid, I believe the way that worked was, or probably still works, it was a way to exploit a vulnerability in Firefox. So people were using Tor, and essentially, if I remember correctly, it's the NSA used its privileged position on the internet to basically, I guess it's a man-in-the-middle attack, but basically it was kind of putting up these servers. They would find people who were using Tor, and essentially they would use an exploit in Firefox to be able to compromise somebody's computer. So in this case here, it's a little funny to see this represented as kind of like this tool that I would use to exploit
Fox acid
a
attack
weakness in sort of a foreign server. You'd sort of imagine them coming to you.
Fox acid attack
But it may be that I
successful.
misunderstand Fox Acid, or it might just be it's a game and it's a convenient abstraction. But this is one of the things that I love about the game, is that it's not a criticism that I'm raising in this case. The thing that I find so interesting about this is that you know, much like Civilization and things like that, this game has given me a chance to learn something that I wouldn't have otherwise wouldn't have looked at. And obviously stuff like this is kind of important. So here we're going to do a 60-second run. This is just to see if there's any internal sites, but most likely what I'm going to want to do on this...
Information gathering module initiated.
I'm most likely just going to want to do some kind of man-in-the-middle attack and find out where they're... Okay, so I'm always taking this as connecting to... So I always assume that target 2 has to be 168.1.1, and then we just try and see if we can find... an appropriate victim. Okay, so
Network intrusion module.
again, just as a reminder, we're looking for the supplier URL. So one of the ways that we can do that is to take a look at the internet traffic. So essentially, the idea here about this mission was that we were able to find a weak system. We executed a man in the middle to see what websites they were visiting. IAARMS.com happened to be something that related to an arms supplier, and so we sent that off to the DGSE to complete the bounty. We'll do one more because I'm proudly Canadian. All right, help CSIS infiltrate a series of pharmaceutical companies around the world. Your target, aventech.com. Find the path of their ERP server. So we're going to do the same thing again. We'll start with OS IntScan. So this is open source, and we're going to be using... Basically, we're going to be using Bing or Google to find any websites that are associated with this... this provider. Essentially, excuse me. The idea here is that I think it's supposed to be that you get an IP off of these, which you'll then directly connect to. But one way or the other, what we're going to do here, now that we've got two potential sources of information, we're going to fingerprint www and then VPN Aventech. I think it winds up being like a Cisco VPN that we compromise in these cases, but I should never assume. And if we can't find any exploits, we need to find another way in that doesn't involve them having not up-to-date technology. All right, so sure enough, the Cisco VPN client is the weak link, so we'll go back to the exploit database and see how that works. So search exploit Cisco VPN client. CVE 2015-7600 Cisco VPN client 5x through 500704440 uses weak permissions for VPN client.ini, making it easy to spoof, which allows local users through a UDP delivery to gain privileges by entering an arbitrary program name in the command field of the application launcher section. Preferred delivery method UDP, and exploit to use content spoofing. So we'll go back to Fox Acid.
Acid server connection initiated.
So this time we're going to use UDP. And again, we still have content spoofing, so we're going to select that. After Midnight's our rootkit.
Fox acid attack launched. Fox acid attack's connection completed.
Okay, so we're in their system now, and what we need to do is find the path for the ERP server. So what we're going to do here is we'll do the WMI scanner. And as it says, this module is a recon and mapping tool designed to help you discover a target's internal service and application exposed via the WMI technology. This tool is used to map out internal network and will only work if you are already connected to a VPN. So we're going to start with NetScan. It will run a 5-second scan of the target entities hosted within their internal network and index the exposed app database and shares found in the registries. So this is actually not a bad way to learn the game. So the tutorial is obviously the best. All right, so it's pretty clear that the thing called ERP is going to be the ERP, but I think once you do the tutorial, bounties are a really good way to sort of familiarize yourself with these tools here. Because the real heart of the game is not actually the fact that you're typing in all of these commands. It's the story that you go on. And we're doing sort of the single-player story missions first. But eventually we're going to start doing some open world missions, which will be a little bit more challenging and require a little bit more thought in terms of, what's going on and what am I to make of sort of these strands of information. But first things first, let's finish the story that we were already on. So, all right, Cesis likes me more.
Turbine C2 registry network disconnected.
Okay, there might be more bounties. Yeah, we don't have anything else. So let's carry on with that mission that we were doing before. So we're currently on Operation Nitro Winter. It's an investigation, minimal real-life interaction. Level average ambience spy agent. Go undercover as a contractor for Human Solutions Consulting and uncover the truth behind the motivations of this mysterious group. I'll replay the intro just so we can see.
Damn it. Faye, I'm too angry right now. Can you take this call?
Certainly, Samantha.
This is Morris.
Sam, are you okay? I know that was rough.
Thanks for asking. Yeah, it was hard.
You know they mean well, right?
I know, but I feel like they don't understand the project, what it can do for all of us.
Division 66 can seem opaque at times, but they want what's best for the agency, and sometimes that means playing it safe.
I don't know.
Listen, why don't I come by your office and we can go get a drink or something? Take your mind off this for a while. Or you can rant about it. Either way, some fresh air would probably do you some good.
Thanks for the offer, Kath, but I'll be fine. I just need to keep working.
Alright, no problem. But I am here if you need to talk.
All right, so it doesn't exactly explain all of the details about what we're doing, but basically we've infiltrated this group that was responsible for a number of sort of exploits in this simple ERP program. Or sorry, it was one exploit, but it was being used to do this attack, which would be siphoning funds from different firms. We've been sort of helping them out in order to advance within the group, and I'm not sure if this is the last mission or if there's going to be one more after it. But in this case, we're continuing on with our undercover work.
So far, so good. Your work at HSC is being rewarded, and your covert actions continue to go unnoticed. The HSC contracts are highly illegal, and 19.4 will deny any involvement if you're caught by any national security services. So be extra careful. Dylan is compiling the company profiles, and we've noted some odd connections. All targets are based in the Middle East, but they're from many different industries. There's likely something other than geography that links the companies together. We just haven't found it yet. HSC has far too much security for a simple financial scam. Complete the next set of contracts, and Dylan and I will continue digging into the motivations of Human Services Consulting. Your mission objectives are: download all remaining company profiles, reach rank 4 on HSC's job board, download the level 4 target's company profile, confirm or deny a clear connection between all HSC targets.
So I have a feeling the fourth one's going to be the trickiest part. All right, so let's carry on.
We need to expand the scope of our research. These companies are based in the Middle East or Central Africa, but why were they singled out? What makes them unique? Maybe looking into their key people will lead to something? Download the new profiles on the job board, and I'll add the CEOs of each company into X Keyscore. I've already added all those from the level 2 targets.
Okay, so first thing we want to do is hop onto, it's the Hydra terminal.
Information gathering module.
Now, unfortunately,
initiated.
I don't think I remember, I don't think I remember what the job board is.
Turbine C2 registry initiated.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to have to go to the previous mission just so I can, oh, mission complete. Huh. I'm just trying to think about how I would find the, maybe it's on my... Ah, here we go. System hsconsulting.de.
Information gathering module initiated.
There we go. Okay, so download the remaining company profiles. There were a few... there are a few commands to help with this, so I think... what was it? Dump. And I believe I actually need to... I believe I need to query all of these, so... we've dealt with these ones first, so I'm going to go through them really quick. It automatically goes to the next one in the list, which is why I'm doing it this way. Okay, so we did read Bixen Banking before, but bixenbanking.com, United Kingdom, Rosie Horth, bank and finance, net worth $4.170 billion, unbreakable. The Bixen Bank is a UK-based multinational investment bank, investment bank and financial services company with central hubs in New York City, Toronto, Hong Kong, Tokyo, and Seoul. Bixen was formed in 1980 and is the third largest banking institution in the world. As a part of the Big Four, it services approximately 30.47% of all European bank deposits. Its primary financial services revolve around commercial banking, wealth management, and investment banking. Okay. So this next one should be new. All right, so we've got Argos Secure, argossecure.com in Sudan, Youssef Hagiat, private security, net worth $124 million. I think I need to triage who's going to get hurt by these things again. So let me just take a minute and grab a pen. I got one here somewhere. I know there's a notepad in the game, but it's, I don't know, I'm old school. Or I am if I can find where I put it. I normally have one at the desk. Oh, I should maybe mention one reason why I was a little late tonight. I had a big breakthrough on a Cultist Simulator project I was working on. So hopefully, and that's a big thank you to Lyra Zyder for helping me out with that too. Hopefully I'm going to have something to show you guys for that. It's a Canada Day weekend, so Canada Day is a holiday, but it's on a weekend, so Monday is the holiday. This does mean I may not do Stellaris on Monday. I still need to make a decision. I am inclined to want to do it, but I know that taking those days off has been really important in keeping me not sad about streaming. So we'll see. So Argos is 124. Argus Secure is a provider of private security personnel and training to companies around the world. Their services include paramilitary personnel, weapons and security training, and asset safety management. It was founded in 2011 by former Sudanese Special Forces officer Ahmed Akiami and employs veterans from across Africa. So it's mercenaries. I have lost the ability to type in here. That's going to be inconvenient. All right, let's try that again. Robot Robotics, Robot.com in Israel, Ethan Vankin, Robotics, 151. So... Robot Robotics is an Israeli engineering and robotics design company focused on military and policing units. Their Skiff series, originally developed by founder Ethan Venkin while he was a grad student at Tel Aviv University, provides the IDF with pack mule capabilities in difficult terrain. Robot has recently received a spike in interest for outside funding for its Shield prototype, the first fully autonomous bomb disposal unit. All right. Query Nexit GPS. Also in Israel, Abigail Weiss, Navigation GPS, 107 million. Nexit GPS is a GPS and traffic pattern monitoring company that provides both consumer services and industry-grade devices. They also market smart dash cameras, drone GPS monitoring, fleet management systems, and other location-based products. Bulletin Solutions. They're in Kuwait, Khalid Azim, business consulting, worth 186 million. So that's probably going to be target number one. Compromised. Bulletin Solutions is a consulting and human resource company offering 4 business verticals: integrated facility management, human services technology consulting, and internet business solutions. They work with recent recipients of venture capital to help startups grow seamlessly into their next stage. Local Health and Nutrition. Okay. Israel Mal Grossman, Nutritional and Local Foods App, 108 million. Local Health and Nutrition is a social media and e-commerce company which promotes local foods and lifestyle providers to users across the globe. They also provide fitness and health service credits to their users, which can be redeemed at participating locations of a variety of partnered businesses. Nope, and we're back to the start. So I would have thought we got all the remaining company profiles. Am I missing something here? Nope. No, we already did locale. So what's probably happened here is that there are more IDs than... Yep. Wait a minute. So I didn't download that somehow. Oh, you know what? It's probably this. Yeah, so I had to click that. All right, well, you all get the joy of watching these purple things come up again. 2206. My bad. And 5. Well, that's unexpected.
X key score forensics initiated.
So I must be missing something very obvious here in terms of where the... I'm just trying to think what else I could be missing, though.
Information gathering module initiated.
I've already forgotten where I'm supposed to access. Right, system. Okay. So here it seems to indicate that I haven't downloaded all of this. So maybe it's just the fact that I didn't do it properly the first time. I'm gonna go through this really quickly. Because the tab makes this pretty fast. Normally the game's pretty good at picking up when I've done stuff like that, so I'm a little surprised, and it may be that I need to get information elsewhere. But seeing as this is kind of like a fresh run of it, I'll start with the obvious step, and then the next thing I'll do is I might just like leave the mission and then come back. I suppose I should probably be reading these a little more closely as well, because we still need to figure out what the connection between everything is. All right. Reach rank 4 on HSC's job board. So, This is, hey, Sungif, good to see you as always. So let's work out who we're hitting first. So number 1 on Bulletin, number 2 Argo, number 2 is Rowboat. Number 3 is Argo. And if we need a number 4, it doesn't really matter if it's Locale or Nexit because they both have very similar revenues. But we'll take on Bulletin first. I think it's second from the bottom. Advanced agent required to install and configure Verboten botnet on Bulletin, the hotshot business consulting firm. Get in their network and find the simple ERP backdoor we've had our consultant install a couple of days ago. DomainBulletin.com initial reports indicate a vulnerability inside their employee network, but not for the WMI server. Luckily, our on-site consultant managed to record the CEO's weekly routines, so maybe you can find a point of entry from there. He comes into work on Monday at 7 a.m., Tuesday at 8 a.m., Wednesday at 10 a.m., and Friday at noon without fail. Once you have installed and configured the botnet, enter the confirmation number to receive your aptitude units. Objective: infiltrate Bulletin's WMI server to find the ERP system in order to install, configure, and deploy Verboten. We require access to the company's contracts, taxes, and payroll. So let's start with a simple bulletin.com. So it's kind of already told me that I'm probably going to need to use Aircrack, but let's just start with the basics. I hope I got that right. Okay, so let's again, we'll start with simple fingerprints in that, but my expectation is that we're not, if we do find a vulnerability, it's going to be one that doesn't get us very far. So what's new with you, Sungif? By the way, I've been delighted by all of you sharing your downloads of Kali Linux and whatnot. Please do not get yourself arrested on my behalf. But that's very interesting that this game... it's one of the things that I really like about this. Obviously, I like sharing games like this, but I particularly like that it's not just me who's getting the, the interest in the topics that this game covers. I like that it's just not me who's getting something out of it. I like that people have picked it up, so... Okay, remote desktop ActiveX control in mstscax.dll in the Microsoft Remote Desktop Connection Client 6.1 and 7.0 does not properly handle objects in memory, which allows remote attackers from an SST connection to execute arbitrary code through segfault via a web page that triggers access to a deleted object. Preferred delivery method SST, exploit to use segfault. So, our good old friend Fox Acid.
Server connection initiated.
Oh, we may not have... Oh, no, yes, we do have it.
Fox acid attack launched.
Now, while I'm at it, I will try...
Fox acid attack successful. Connection completed.
I'm just going to take a quick look at that last component. So it's login. That's more so just for my own interest. Now, as the game told us, that we're likely not going to get anything through WMI or that, but yeah, so that one's safe as well. There's two things that I want to do. Number one, I just want to take a look and see if there's any internal sites that I might have missed. So we'll set up a 60-second search for internals. In the meantime, we'll start with WMI. We don't expect to find anything, but it doesn't hurt just to familiarize myself. It could be K5. I'm not that good at, as indicated, we don't have access to the WMI. I can't remember. Were you here the last time I was playing this? Because this might be something that interests you. But yeah, it could be. The one thing I will say about this is that they've done their homework, so I'm always going to take any technical terms.
Information gathering module initiated.
I'm going to take those as better grounded than any false recollections I might have. Anyways, you're going to lurk see. I have no idea what's going on here. Well, I'll do my best to explain it as I go along. So where I am right now, SunGift, I obviously don't feel the need to keep talking, by the way, but I'll do my best to sort of explain what I'm doing right now. I have logged into employeeloginbulletin.com using that exploit that we found. And what we're doing right now is... cool. We're currently going to connect into the Wi-Fi for this location, and we sort of know the CEO's work habits, so we're going to try and see if we could log in using their cell phone. So first thing we're going to do is handshake, and this is so that we can get all the information from the different Wi-Fi. So there's Bulletin Wi-Fi, Thought Cafe, and Sultan Steakhouse. Now it's not that it's not that accessing the Wi-Fi is necessarily going to, it's not necessarily going to give me, what's the best way for me to put it? It's an intermediate step that will get me the thing that I need. What I need ultimately is to set up this botnet. But we're accessing Bulletin Wi-Fi, the Thought Cafe, and Sultan Steakhouse to see if there's a basically a mobile device that's walking by these at times that are consistent with the CEO, and basically we're going to try and access the CEO's phone using this this behavior. So we know that the CEO comes in at 7 a.m. on Monday, Tuesday at 8, Wednesday at 10, and Friday at noon. So if we can find a pattern that matches that. So as you can see here, 7 on Monday, 8 on Tuesday, 10 on Wednesday, and 12 on Friday. I'm just trying to see what's going on here. Also comes in 12 on Monday, but that could possibly be them going out for lunch. And then it looks like they were in at 6 on Saturday. But this is definitely the thing that matches our behavior best, so we're gonna go for it. Okay, let's see if we can find anything inside here. So, conference coming up. Have that tech conference coming up soon. We have to remember to book our hotel and rent a car before everyone else gets the good stuff. Pick up Ahmed at 3 p.m. Remember, reminder to pick up Ahmed from school, which ends around 3 p.m. I know, I wrote right notes like that. Okay, mobile remote connection. Hey, Ibrahim, thank you for setting this up. It'll be really useful in case I need to check up on you guys during my business trip. Wa alaikum salam. Dear Khalid, I just finished setting up your phone. You'll be able to pretty much do anything on it, anything you can on your computer. Just click on the hotspot button to get into the network. I've also set up keyless entry for the office. No more carrying key cards. You also asked about Mcache survey, and that's also online. It's at mcache.bulletin.com. No worry, no one can get on there unless they're logged into our main network, and it's pretty secure if I do say so myself. Have a good trip. Assalamu alaikum. All right, so... obviously, I actually don't have this guy's login, so that's not going to help me out too much. But we now know how to access the internals. Oh, okay, it was both that we had here. So keyless. These are all the times that they were going in, so that's not as important for me. Not a lot. Oops.
Network connection completed.
All right. This is a little
Check
different than I
C2
thought.
Registry initiated.
Oh wait, no, we should be able to do a WMI from here.
Information gathering module initiated.
That's because I'm logged in through the CEO's phone rather than the exploit that I found. Here we go. So ERP accounting finance, this is likely what we're looking for here. Yep, simple ERP. So
Fox acid server connection initiated.
don't remember this as well as I should. I'm actually going to take a minute and double check my little guide here. SCTP exec code overflow verboten. Need to remember they're all kind of like green and yellow. Anyways, so this should,
Acid attack
what this is going to do,
launched.
this is going to set up the program that allows me to get the bots going.
Information gathering module initiated.
Now they're looking for they were looking for contracts, taxes, and payroll. That's going to be Roxy, Sugna, and Contact Stem. So you have to run them in a certain order. Now that we've got the bots online, we're going to exec deploy. And botnet's online. All right, I'll explain everything in a moment. I kind of got a little too focused there, so I should explain what's going on. But let me catch up really quickly with chat. So K5 has asked if I've played the Black Watchman. I have not, but I did buy it. I basically bought everything by Allison Smith as soon as the Steam sale started. So, and I encourage all of you to do so as well. So Punky is saying, you're a bit lost too. You've only done a little bit of the intro in the game from the Academy. Haven't really gotten into the game yet. So this particular mission, I feel like, is starting to get you, like, the first two that we did before were definitely variations on what we learned inside of the tutorial. And what's happening now is they're giving us a few more tools to use. Essentially what's going on here, we aren't just relying on the direct, we're not relying just on sort of the direct, okay, we found an exploit and there's, you know, all of the goodies just lying there waiting for us to pick them up. What we needed to do instead was we needed to kind of take a few little steps. Now, again, there's one continuous thread once you're able to figure out the Wi-Fi thing, which was kind of clear from the fact that it was giving us times. It kind of told us what we needed to know as far as getting into that particular system. But the main aim here is that you always need to consider what your movement, like what you're doing. What's the purpose of that particular task? Right now, we're trying to fulfill missions to level up inside this organization. So in the end, the reason why this organization wants access to these computer systems is in order to basically to get their botnet up and running. So essentially, in order to get the bots up, I had to break into the system, and as it was, I logged in using the CEO's phone. So what I'll try and do for this one here, I'm going to explain exactly what step in the chain is going through. I'm going to also give voice to where it's like, I think this is going to happen, as opposed to this is why I'm doing it. And hopefully that'll clarify a little bit about what's going on from the perspective of, you know, you know, I only know the basics about this game. So, all right, it was Rowboat, which was in position 2. Advanced agent required to install and configure the verboten botnet on Nexit. That's not the one I was looking for. Just want to double check that I got this right. Yeah, Rowboat has 151. So Advanced Agent is required to install and configure the verboten botnet on Rowboat, the robotics company that won Best in Show in last year's CES Eureka Park. Find a way inside their networks and access the simple ERP backdoor that we've set up beforehand. So we have the simple ERP already in place. What we need to do now is we need to get to the simple ERP. So we'll accept the job. Domainrowboat.com. This startup has a set up multiple subdomains for testing purposes, which they regularly put on maintenance every week. The team behind these networks probably have a system to easily identify their subdomains, so if you find something missing, that's probably your best point of entry. Once you have installed and configured the botnet, enter the configuration number you receive to receive your aptitude units. Find your way inside Rowboat's ERP subnet and then install, configure, and deploy verboten. We require access to the company's expense reports, payroll, and taxes. Now, this is one part that I wasn't 100% clear on, so I'm going to read this again. It has set up multiple subdomains for testing purposes, which they regularly put on maintenance every week. The team behind these networks probably have a system to easily identify their subdomains, so if you find something missing, that's probably your best point of entry. This might make sense when we start investigating, so we'll do our OSINT as we are wont to do, although I forgot to check the domain, rowboat.com. I'm going to do a depth 2000 on this one, just to let it run a little bit longer. So again, we're doing OSINT because I want some things to sort of kick against. I want an idea of what domains they have, and then I want to fingerprint them to see if there's any weaknesses inside of it. Because it says I need to be looking for some kind of a pattern. Obviously, I'm going to. All right, so robot.com, servicesrobot.com, aboutrobot.com, alpha, beta, gamma, epsilon, zeta. So I'm probably going to need to look up some Greek letters, but this is the most likely candidate for me to start investigating. But as usual, let's just see if we can find you'll probably pick it up. Excellent. It's 25% off, so it's a decent enough discount. It's basically to my understanding, it's a fairly new game. So and they're from Montreal, so I get to put the game. Support a Canadian studio through my viewership. I'm also a little spooked that the drops aren't going to happen until I hit a certain threshold of viewership. I'm sure a few of you have noticed that number is down fairly substantially for the last week. So, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I'm trying not to dwell too much on it. As long as you guys keep showing up, I will continue to stream it. And if people stop showing up, I'll figure out what to do with myself. So just to, in the spirit of being clear about what I'm doing right now, none of the domains that we found have revealed any weaknesses, and I think it's likely that none of them will, and we're instead going to be left to find the missing Greek letter. Hey, Ed Baver, great to see you. Right, portal epsilon. Could be phi, Could be pi. Could be chi. Oh. All right, I'm just gonna do a quick search for okay, so we got alpha, beta, gamma, yeah, there's no delta. It's too warm here. Where I can't remember where you are, Ed Baver. It was pretty warm here today, but we had like a wicked thunderstorm while I was at work. Like I could not see anything out the window. It was almost like we were underwater. Just looking out there. Sure enough, there's the vulnerability in Portal Delta. So fortunately, the game had mercy in terms of not giving me too many
Information gathering module
tricky things to work out.
initiated.
So fingerprint. Oh wait, it's a search exploit because we've already fingerprinted. Remote desktop. So this is the exploit that we found, remote desktop. So the remote desktop ActiveX control in MSTS scanx.dll in the Microsoft Remote Desktop Connection Client 6.1 and 7.0 does not properly handle objects in memory, which allows remote attackers from an SST connection to execute arbitrary code through a seg fault via a web page that triggers access to a deleted object. Preferred delivery method SST, exploit to use segmentation fault, and the rest is history. So we'll open up Fox Acid.
Fox Acid server connection initiated.
This is the same exploit we used before, so this should be familiar territory.
Fox Acid attack.
Netherlands! Did I mention I'm a huge fan of the
Fox
Dutch?
Acid attack successful.
Did I know you were from the Netherlands before, Ed Baver? I need to be way nicer to you. You guys send us tulips, and they're always beautiful. Oddish here in North Dakota. That's that definitely is definitely a little bit closer to where I am. A friend of mine decided to move to a new house tomorrow. It's going to be 34 degrees. Christ almighty. And yeah, I never remember Fahrenheit. But I am familiar with 34, and God help you, sir.
Connection completed.
Okay, so again, we're looking, because it's always useful to remember what our goal is. So our goal is to set up the botnet. We set up the botnet through using this this exploit. Now, on the odd chance that I'll need it, I'll get a little... I always do this in the background just because it'll save me time, but... I'm going to look at the internal domains while I'm doing all of this in the background. But while we're at it, I'm going to see if I can find the ERP through the WMI.
Initiated.
There's a Mcache. Should probably be looking at those, but again, I don't know any logins, unfortunately. Although, just give me one quick second here. If I can remember from the previous mission, I'm just going to see if I can find that default password that we found in the previous mission. I see a lot of people asking questions on Steam. I'm not ready to go for the... Yeah, it looks like it's all walkthroughs. I'm not quite ready for that yet. So it'd be fun if I could figure out what the Mcache was, because the fact that they've given me more than one really suggests that I need to be paying attention to this and trying to be getting access to it. But I don't think I can do that if I don't have... Well, let's just give it... I'll give it a quick shot, but...
Password attack.
Yeah, see, I need a username, so it's not gonna help me out there. Okay. I don't actually need to dig. It just helps to verify that it's simple ERP. So we do the same thing that we did before. We will open up Fox Acid.
Server connection.
This is something that we know from a document that's on our local drive. But this is how you execute the bot or botnet.
Fox acid attack launched. Information gathering module initiated.
Okay, and as before, it's expense reports, payroll, and taxes. And for some reason, I decided to close down my browser on this. I definitely need definitely need to keep that going because I can never remember the order. Okay, so they wanted expense reports, payroll, and taxes. So Solo Pearl, Roxy, and Sugna. Wait, it was Roxy, yeah. So again, we ran these three in order. We've got our confirmation code, which is the whole reason we did that. We're not doing the hacking just because we want to hack innocent people. We're doing this so that we can advance. So it looks like I'm gonna have to do 2 more jobs. It's getting pretty dark out, so it's a little hard for me to read all this. Argo. All right, advanced agent required to install and configure Verboten botnet on Argo Secure, the notorious private security firm that's been making the news lately. Get inside their networks and access the simple ERP backdoor that our brave on-site consultant managed to install a few days ago. Okay. Domain argosecure.com. The private security firm doesn't mess around and has multiple networks running on the web. Make sure to keep digging until you find your way inside their internal servers. Once you have installed and configured the botnet, enter the confirmation number to receive your aptitude units. Find Argo Secure's mainframe, then access the ERP server, install and configure, and then deploy Verboten. We require access to the company's contracts, payroll, and taxes. Not that I'll remember it, but it's Roxy, Sugna, and Contact Stem, like the first job that I did. Okay, so we're going to exit out all of this information. So this definitely feels like it's going to be one of the more challenging ones because they didn't give us a lot of information, but we always start with open source information. It's presumably the hacker equivalent of checking Wikipedia before you do anything. The fact that they say that they've got a bunch of internal sites, and that makes me think I'm going to need to gain access to one so that I can sfuzz a different location. While I'm at it, I'm going to do an OSINT scan on these IPs. And then we'll fingerprint what they've got already. So again, this is more information to kind of go run the thread through. And then we're going to do an OSINT scan on the other IP, 51, 54. I'm never gonna find it. Okay, so we'll start with global. So it's likely the first three are not going to show up, otherwise the game wouldn't have told us, hey, you got to do this other step. Well, it's likely going to be one of these subdomains that we've got. And then, of course, on top of that, I can check things like arsec01.sd, for instance. Like, there's quite a few that I can check out here. So, but I want to do this in order. I'm actually also curious whether or not you can fingerprint an IP. Turns out you can. Cool. Presumably that means that I've looked at both of these domains. I think I have, but I want to just double check. My prediction would be that Global Argos Secure would probably be the Akamai one, or the Akamai. Akami? I don't know. This will be a bit of a time saver if I do. Yeah. And then for completeness, Saudi. So if we don't find anything on these two, I still want to check out RSec 01 and Argos Secure. Yeah, so I'm gonna search by IP next time I find myself in that situation. Okay, so fingerprint services, Argos Secure, and we'll start by an RSec 01. And then following that, we'll do an argossecure.com. Who knows? Maybe it'll even attach me to some other. That's a lot. I have a feeling all of this is setting me up for what the game is going to look like a little bit later on, where it doesn't just hand everything up on a silver platter. So normally I'd be running some stuff in the background for this, but obviously I'm going to lose track of where I was looking before. So we'll explore the RSec options first, and then we'll see what else we can find. By the way, does anybody know what's special about today? Well, other than the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, but let's leave that one aside. I'm thinking of something more related to video games. Okay, OSINT scan. No idea. No, I do not know what's special about today. How many of you are Cultist Simulator players in chat? Oh, you know what? I think we already did. I think I messed up. I think we've actually already searched for those. So we're full circle. I want to be checking out these IPs, and I'm going to bring out the notebook for that, or notepad. That first one I don't need, because that's how we first... Oh no, actually, did we? I think we did find it. Okay. I haven't played it. Does look interesting. You just have a lot of games lying around for you to play. It's definitely a good one, but I know that feeling. Yep, we definitely checked that one before. So, for those of you who are Cultist Simulator fans, if you play the Aspirant Legacy, the subtitle for that... So obviously the first time you play the Aspirant, and then you have to select it the next one. But the Aspirant's text is June the 28th again, ... Okay. 145, 51, 217, 98. So the drawback here is if I don't find any weaknesses in these IPs, then I'm going to need to OSN scan them to... apparently that wasn't right. That's more like it. But yeah, so if I don't find anything off of these IPs, then I'm going to have to OSN scan so that I can find some other domain names. That's what you get after hundreds of hours in that lovely game. Yeah, and then of course we wind up with sales like this where, you know, we just wind up piling on more games onto the list rather than going through what we already have. All right, so no luck with these front-facing ones, so we're going to go a little bit deeper. In this case, we're going to check out these IPs to see if we can find any domain names that we've otherwise missed. Of course, I can always try Google as well. But for now, let's see if I can find any other details. Of course, I might want to just put all of this into a... I want to put this all into some kind of a social engineering attack. I know that Steam's trying to encourage people to play games by giving like rewards for playing games, but I don't know. It's a little hard to see that as. I think it's well intentioned. I just don't know if that moves the needle enough. I know the other problem that recently cropped up. I'm gonna switch to Google just to see if there's anything else that comes up through that. Some people were mentioning that there were a lot of wish lists that were being sort of turned down or were being deleted because people thought that they'd be given a random game off of their like off of their list, so they wanted to like, you know, they if you get a chance to win a game, like they wanted to make sure it was all like AAA stuff, not like a smaller indie that doesn't have as high of a price. That bugged me in so many ways. Like in one sense, I kind of get it, right? Like if you are gonna get something for free, you know, you kind of like to think that you got something really valuable. But obviously there was a reason why you looked for that game in the first place. Like, it's not like the less expensive game is a bad thing for you to get. Presumably you wishlisted it for some purpose. And then obviously it's just a case here where indies are already having a hard enough time on Twitch. So I'm not entirely sure they needed another thing to get in their way of promoting their game. I'm really thinking that I'm gonna have to turn all of these domains into a set attack. Yeah, I'm actually debating on getting another hard drive, which is a little silly because I should just be a little bit better at managing the space that I have. But then that also lets me put things like, I can put some more virtual machines on and things like that. So either I'm not deep enough in terms of my searches, or I've hit the limits in terms of what this kind of collection is going to get me, and what I want to focus on now is finding some other ways of getting inside. So let's open up the social engineering toolkit. Oh, I missed out on VPN. I also missed out on ArcSet main 01. That makes me think that I don't need to be doing this, but... One of the things I really like about this is that it's doing a really good job of sort of showing me how something as simple as find a way to get in is actually quite a difficult proposition. You can turn that into, so it's a little bit like, imagine you want to sit down and like make a game and you're like, platformers have been done, right? Like there's nothing else for us to do platformers with. Well, then you play Braid, and it's like, oh, actually, there are other things that you can do with platformers. I just wasn't thinking about that, and so on and so forth. So this is a nice little indication of saying, like, oh, you think the whole like trying to find an exploitable system is easy? Okay, here's here's some extra mazes for you to go through. Like you could probably make a mission entirely out of doing something like this, which is what they've done here. Obviously, it's a chance to see different, there we go, SharePoint. It's a chance to sort of show, hey, it's not always just something we put in front of you to give you things to do. It can actually involve a little thinking, which I really like. So CVE 2010-3964. Unrestricted file upload vulnerability in the document conversions launcher service in Microsoft Office SharePoint Server 2007 Service Pack 2. When a document conversions load balancer service is enabled, it allows remote attackers to execute arbitrary code via a custom SOAP request to TCP on port 8082, aka a malformed request code execution vulnerability. Preferred delivery method TCP/IP. Exploit to use custom SOAP request. So let's get this underway.
Fox Acid server connection initiated. Fox Acid attack.
It says ERP, so I'm presumably we'll just go straight to the WMI and run the
Fox Acid attack. Success
tool.
connection completed. Information gathering module initiated.
You bought another SSD, but you haven't gotten it installed and working yet. So Punky, it's kind of interesting. The funny thing is, I actually really like. I tend to come off to a lot of people as really only liking indies, and I love them. Don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of curious what's so first of all, what's the best indie game that you've seen or that you've played recently? 2, what's the last AAA that you've enjoyed? Because I'm also a little curious about that. If you haven't played any at all, obviously don't make me force you. But I'm a little curious about what's the last one that you that you thought did something special. Because I think sometimes what drives people to indies, and it's a great reason to do it, because obviously there's interesting stuff. Like, there's not a lot of games like this one, for instance. But I'm a little curious about some cases where people think that,
Fox
a
asset
larger
tag
game has done
launched.
particularly well.
Information gathering module initiated.
Okay, so we were looking for contracts, payroll, and taxes. So Roxy, Sugna, contact. Just 1 second, guys. I need to sneeze. Okay, we got our confirmation code. That was obviously a little bit of an effort, but it was fun. I actually really liked how that was set up. So your favorite game is Stardew Valley, and you're not sure the last AAA game that you've played. It was probably something for console. So, I mean, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody, but like I really like Battlefield 5. I thought that was a very well done game. And that's the exact opposite of the sort of thing that I normally play on stream. But I'm mostly curious. Like, I really like to see the examples where people say it's like, I usually prefer smaller things, because small things are wonderful. But I'm always really curious when people like that really do run into a larger effort that people really enjoy. For one example of this that I might take would be, I'm looking forward to see a Solitude, which is coming up through the EA Originals system, because they've given us stuff like A Way Out and Unravel and Fee, and it's just a lot of really interesting games. I was actually really surprised to find out that EA doesn't take any profits from them. They'll recover costs, but apparently all the money goes directly to developers. I did not realize that it was that I knew it was friendly terms for developers, but I didn't realize that it was like, no, there's no money made off of them kinds of jobs. Okay, Locale.io. This company recently hired a top-notch cybersecurity firm to beef up their network, so regular infiltration will be impossible. However, our consultant noticed that some of their employees aren't exactly tech-savvy, oddly enough. Even their IT administrator seems like a greenhorn. See if you can convince one of the employees to give you access to the network. Once you've installed and configured the botnet, enter the confirmation number to receive your aptitude units. Find a way inside of Locale's network, then access the ERP server. Install, configure, and deploy verboten. We require access to the company's expense reports, payroll, and taxes. So I will do a quick OSN scan, but this is just to give you some more... Actually, I don't even think I need to do that, but... Oops. What I am going to do, though, is it pretty clearly told me to spearfish, so... Just want to see if there's any other domain names associated with it. Dictionary pattern, locale. Okay, file format. Interesting. Will they take an RTF better instead? Nope. Presumably custom DLL is the word. Wow. All right then. yeah, so apparently custom DLL zip is the better option. Create the payload. So reverse shell VPN is the only option that we have. And then an email template. So CV application, sales report, IT support, business RFP, consumer inquiry, class action lawsuit. Yes. It's 45 bounce, 20 spam. That's going to give us 135 people who apparently have been emailed the latest patch to Windows directly from Microsoft. Yeah, very few people. So the funny thing is like there's a video game bar that I go to pretty regularly here in Ottawa. And like I almost workshop some of the blog stuff because like every time I talk about EA or I talk about the Epic Store, that people get really mad. And obviously I have gone... I like to think that I don't get like mad about stuff unless it's backseating. But okay, payload blocked. Well, can't win them all, I suppose. But yeah, people like the mere mention of like EA or something like that will cause people just out of the blue
Turbine C2 registry.
to like let me know how wrong I am on this while I'm having a conversation with the owner. I've always found that really interesting. It's actually why I do those articles on those topics, because I think there's a lot of received wisdom which is not very interesting and doesn't really hold up to scrutiny. But like I was in one of these conversations and somebody's like, "Oh, so EA is just doing it for out of the goodness of their heart?" And I'm like, "Well, no. I suspect what it's doing is it's filling in some." I suspect it's filling in some gaps in terms of their subscription service. I'm a very happy member of EA Origins Premier, actually. And it's obviously it's building them a relationship with a game developer that might expand out, and I'm sure there might be some amount of money that they get off of it, but it's. Obviously, for a company as large as EA, the money is going to be in sports games and AAA stuff, not necessarily in doing an indie. And I said, I suspect what it's doing is it's to diversify the revenue streams. And it turns out that I basically undersold it, that it really is out of the goodness of their heart, and that what I suspect they're trying to do is to get those relationships a bit earlier. So, like, if you remember Miramax, back before it was this horrible thing with, all of these terrible associations, like Miramax had this stable of filmmakers who kind of came up through independent development, and they cultivated those relationships, and it became a very dominant studio as a result of that. And so I think what EA is doing is very forward-looking in that sense, which is that they are building very good relationships with developers, that they're sort of taking this upfront, the terms aren't necessarily very good for them, but they're also not really losing out that much because those types of games aren't necessarily going to be huge revenue generators for them. And instead what they're doing is they're ensuring that, maybe they get Hazel Light's next game, which is even bigger, or, I think it's Joe Maya's the ones who are doing Sea of Solitude, that basically they're building that goodwill and they're building that relationship to begin with, so that when it comes time for something that is a bit more profitable for them and something where it is worthwhile for them to take that percentage, they've already built that rapport. And essentially what I think they're doing is they're more favorably positioning themselves earlier on in the development process, so that when people are shopping around their really good ideas, it's much more likely that they're going to be the ones to pick things up. Because I will not say what the program is, but I've definitely talked with people who did go with a publisher And it's very much a sort of, we're probably not going to go with them again. They don't necessarily have anything like directly mean to say about them, but it's very clear that they are going to need a bit more next time. So, and in the end, if you're a publisher, you're going to need content, right? So anyways. Yep, that's probably the same one that I had, but I went for the premiere to play Anthem, which I didn't mind as much as everyone else did, but I realize is not everybody's favorite idea of a game. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's see if we can get into the ERP this way. There it is. See, the other thing that's great about the basic one, too, is if you don't want to play, like, Anthem, I actually think Battlefield 5 is available on the basic now. But, like, I wouldn't have played The Sims 4 if I didn't have a subscription to EA Origin Basic. But I do, and I've enjoyed it. If you want to play some good indie stuff, like This Is the Police is available. Some of the Paradox games, I believe you can play City Skylines through that. So there's a lot of really good games available through those subscription services. Like, you could be someone who genuinely dislikes EA. Not like some guy on the internet was angry and British enough to convince me that EA is a bad company, but like you genuinely have not liked anything that EA has put out. And you can just play all of the Paradox stuff that's on there and still get your money's worth.
Information gathering module initiated.
You know, I think this is another example of my like hot takes that make people mad. I think The Sims has aged much better than Deus Ex. I'm not going to say that Deus Ex isn't a good game, but I think Deus Ex is very much showing its age, and that people who do not have a memory of when it first came out find it a very difficult game to play. But I don't think that people, like, if people today were to go back and play the first Sims, I think that they would have a reasonably good time with it. It would be a primitive game compared to what they're maybe used to, but I don't think they would be as confused as people are with Deus Ex. But this is the thing, right? Like, everybody talks about how Deus Ex is like the greatest game ever made, and I think that game has aged particularly poorly. Although that is also sort of the mark of its influence, right? That people have gone on and taken some of those ideas and run with them in a better way. But like, it took Deus Ex 5 years to sell as many copies as The Sims did, and oh, I screwed up. Solo Pearl, Roxy. Solo Pearl, Roxy. Oh, Sugna. But yeah, like the point on that one is just more that like Deus Ex appeals to guys like me, whereas The Sims I think really does appeal to everyone, which is why I feel a little bit safer saying some of the stuff that I do there. It's not to deliberately upset people or anything like that. Although obviously it's attention getting. It's just one of these examples where I think it matters. Like, you kind of need to think about what you mean when you're saying that something's like the greatest game ever or whatever. Like, what does it specifically mean when we talk about what made Deus Ex good? And is it good sort of today, or is it good as in I have fond memories of it?
Network disconnected.
And Baver, are you talking about like Invisible War, the first sequel to Deus Ex? By the way, whenever I like do this again at the gaming bar or something like that, I absolutely build it up. It's like, the first one came out around like the year 2000, and it's got there's 4 games in the series that spawned 3 sequels. There's actually a lot of similarities with with Deus Ex. But yeah, and again, like I said, the point of this one is not the point of this is not to say that Deus Ex is not a good game. That's just me being silly at that point if I say that. The idea is more to recognize it's really easy for people to hate on mobile stuff, especially when that Diablo Immortal announcement came out, and it's a little bit more about just thinking about what sort of our yardsticks are in terms of
Weird.
quality.
Why is Bastech so heavily redacted? Why would HSC want to keep anything from its members that would help them complete contracts? That doesn't track. I mean, we learned a ton about Rowboat Robotics, a military tech company, but we can't know about Bastech. Wait, Rowboat Robotics. Saying the name out loud reminds me of something. I swear I've heard that name before. Ah, they were part of this tech conference in San Fran. Tech for Peace or something. Hold on. Got it. Tech Across Borders. It was a conference about international cooperation and all these companies were invited. I was running a booth there as part of our covert recruitment process. Turtle Apparel dropship and branding. We picked up some good talent. Anyway, I added the venue as an entity. Try it in combination with some of these CEOs and hopefully something will pop up. Check the company profiles on the HSC job boards to check for possible connections so we're not taking shots in the dark.
X key score forensics initiated.
Congratulations, Agent. You unlock some new set of X key score entries. You now have access to new data that will help you with your investigation. You should see what you can find by cross-referencing entities and run pattern analysis. Okay. So let's start with Rowboat and Argos.
Okay, so all these companies were involved in the Israeli-Arabic Tech for Peace Alliance, which means that we're targeting... Oh boy. That's bad. That's really bad. We need to get Wheeler in here now.
Yeah, but I'm going to finish talking about Deus Ex. Well, this is the thing, Ed Baver. Like, I tried doing it on stream, and I'd like to get back to Deus Ex on stream. The problem is that when I clicked on realistic mode, I thought it was like for everyone. So it's like, one shot, one kill sort of a thing on both sides. It turns out realistic is hard mode, but you take more damage. And so that made it very difficult to get through a little bit later. And there's a couple of things about the idea where you get to choose your own way of completing the game, which I think is it's oversold a little bit in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that it's not a groundbreaking game and it's not a good game. It's just that it's one that I think requires a little bit of thought in terms of what someone means by it. Because like the big thing is like when a company that's unpopular stumbles, so like when the number of copies that the game, a game sells is low, you never hear the end of it, right? So when EA missed earnings on, Anthem or Battlefield 5 or something like that, it's always, oh, EA is dying, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, oh, okay, so if sales are the end all be all of success, and this is the real marker of what a good game company is, then you need to say that, okay, well, clearly The Sims is a superior game to Deus Ex because it took Deus Ex 5 years to sell 1 million copies, whereas The Sims did so in its first year. Now, I don't think most people will accept that. And, I mean, I always keep hearing from people, well, sales aren't everything. And I'm like, well, I actually believe that, but it's not a terrible argument. If you just simply want to establish that the game has an audience, it's not like people can't return games nowadays. So it's at least some indicator of people being satisfied with it. But again, these things are always. I mean, in the end, it's all a taste matter in that. But I'm just always interested in terms of thinking about especially when people start talking about like best game ever TM. What the guiding lights on that are. So. All right, 4-day conference dedicated to fostering new connections and strengthening existing ties between countries around the world with common goals and the promise of progress. Day 4, room A271, 9 to 11 a.m. Safety and Security for All, a discussion with Rowboat and Argo Secure, featuring Ethan Venkin, CEO of Rowboat, and Yusuf Hagigat, CEO of Argo Secure, members of the Israeli-Arabic Tech for Peace Alliance, moderated by Rhonda Fenster of FCAM Inc. By the way, I don't think... Has anybody gotten a drop out of curiosity? I know we've been, like I said, we've been a little shy on people watching, and I'm a bit curious how it works. Okay. Mission complete, and I believe the next one is the last one. At least if it's turned out the way that the previous ones have gone. Okay, fair enough.
Our understanding of HSC's choice of targets is now much clearer. All the companies are part of an important Israeli-Arabic tech initiative. This is a very sensitive area, and any indication that this initiative is under attack could have serious political and military ramifications. There is a final piece of the puzzle that we need to uncover: Bastec. I dug through our archives and found some basic information about them, but not much. They're a cybersecurity company based in Egypt that has received special attention from HSC, but how do they fit into all of this? And why are they so secretive? You need to access their network and look for answers. Infiltrating a cybersecurity company won't be easy, and a direct approach will probably not lead anywhere. Try social engineering Bastec staff members, and you may be able to find a weak point in their defenses. Once you're inside, find their employee database and client list so we can learn more about this mysterious company. Your mission objectives are: investigate Bastec's network, find a way to bypass their security and access their systems, access their employee directory, look for and research Bastec's client list.
It's also worth saying, by the way, if you guys do have this game, I believe it's 19... Let me just check that link before I put that up. So if you've not registered your account, this will be getting you picking up those goodies. Okay, lots of people involved in this one. So CIA, BND, Mossad, and VAJ. Is that around?
You heard Wheeler. This is some serious stuff. Some real destabilize the entire region and maybe start a war if we make a false move stuff. So stay sharp and let's work to quickly infiltrate Bastec's network and figure out their connection to the initiative.
You're such a worrywart, Dylan. I'm in Canada. I won't be affected by that. Access Bastec's unredacted profile in your local host. I believe if you've signed up for that before, you don't need to do it again, but just so you guys can get the benefit of extra Night Team 4 drops when they come down. Okay. Sergeant Wheeler, Bastec Cybersecurity. We've managed to get the unredacted version of Bastec's company profile from HSC's job board. Here's the information. Bastec.eg, Cairo, Egypt. CEO Ranim Saliba, type cybersecurity, net worth 240 million US, status secure. Bastec Cybersecurity provides network security products and services to large companies, NGOs, and governments. They specialize in multi-technology encryption products ranging across entire organizations and full-service managed security assistance. Bastec offers their services throughout the Middle East via their Cairo flagship offices and East Asia from their Seoul headquarters. Okay, so again, in terms of just going in through the front door, not much hope there. But let's just take a quick minute here and see if there's any other domains that we can find. In the meantime, I'll open up the set and see what we can do.
Information gathering module initiated.
That's surprising. Interesting. Oh, hang on. Okay, so we can't just jump into social engineering.
Is that fingertip? That sounds really familiar. Can you go ahead and run a search exploit on that so we can get more info?
Information gathering module initiated.
I knew it. That's Access Biotech. I know a guy there. He owes me, big